Good morning, ladies and gents, and our two locations today. The first one is St Margaret's Church, Westminster, the politician's church, and also burial place of a very famous Tudor and Stuart era man. So we're going to go in here first because it is brutally cold today, so we shall go. Our second location is Westminster Abbey itself. Whether we'll be able to film it there or not, I don't know, actually, not supposed to, so it may be photos. It's going to pause you a sec. We're in the church's porch now. Frederick William Farrar, DD, FRS, which is Doctor of Divinity and Fellow of the Royal Society. And there's the man himself. And let's get into the warmth. I will show you the beautiful vaulted ceiling first and that. I won't take too many pictures in St Margaret's because I did cover this one before. A while ago now, around about when I first started my page, a couple of months into it. The interior of this church was completely restored, AD 1878. Sir G.G. Scott, RA, architect. The painted windows in the church and vestry, together with pulpit, font, credence and table, were presented between the years 1881 and 1894. The parishes were built in... the porches were built in 1892 to 1894. J.L. Parson, R.A. architect, F.W. Farrar, D.D. FRS, Archdeacon of Westminster, Rector. So that's some of its history, and we are going inside now because it is very cold. Oh, warmth. Blessed warmth. Very impressive stained glass in this one. Queen Elizabeth I there. She will feature, well, she's featuring in my documentary at the moment, as you all know. And being at Westminster Abbey, I can kill two birds with one stone there, with another part of my documentary. I'm just going to pause you a sec while I plug the power bank in. There we are plugged in. There's a lot of memorials in here as well, which I did cover fully before, so as I say, I won't go too mad. Basically, I'm just in here killing time and keeping warm until my appointment. Pause to read any inscriptions or descriptions. Got more up there, plus a flag, but as I said, the stained glass in this church is very, very special, so you have been warned. And what's nice to see as well is proper pews with their numbers on. And likewise with most of the churches, you can't help but walk on graves in this one, I'm afraid. Here's the font. more stained glass, which I'll focus a bit on each of the stained glass windows, but I won't get all the memorials apart from one particular one I wish to show you, which is our famous Tudor Stuart era man who was executed. In the reign of King James I of England. He was a favourite of Queen Elizabeth I. Quite a few of the windows got badly damaged in the war. Like a lot of the churches, it received damage. Here resteth in assured hope to rise in Christ the body of Hugh Halton, fourth son of Thomas Halton of Halton in the county of Chester, Gent, who married Frances. Hear those bells? Frances, daughter of William Couth of the Bourne in the county of Dorset, Gent, and by her had issue two daughters, Elizabeth and Frances. He departed this life the 17th day of October 1616, aged 50 years, and Elizabeth departed this life the 28th day of August 1615, aged 7 years. And here lieth also interred. So that's the daughter Elizabeth, Hugh and his daughter Elizabeth. And the reason you can hear all the sirens is there's a big protest going on in Parliament Square at the moment. People are standing there shouting, "Freedom, freedom!" Sorry, I have no idea what it's all about. Oh, go on then. I've taken a picture for you. Tombs everywhere, most of which are worn away along the floor, and as I say, I'm not going to focus on all the tombs because we will have a recording that is far too long, and I'm going to do this in 10-minute increments. So that's for TikTok and Instagram, and then I can merge it into one thing for Facebook. Mary, Lady Dudley. Oh, the poor man, he's been paralysed. Oh, how awful for him. Right, TikTokers, Instagrammers, you will join me for part 2, which you see the next video. And Facebookers, carry on watching. If you're watching on TikTok or Instagram, welcome to part 2. St Margaret's Westminster, the Politician's Church. As I said in video 1, pause to read any inscriptions or descriptions. I think that's enough to worship in for now. And the main one I wanted to show you is right over here in this corner, tucked away. Just don't forget, he died an executed man. So to be buried in a church or in a church crypt is very lucky at all. But it's got, within the chancel of this church was interred the body of Great Sir Walter Raleigh, Knight, on the day he was beheaded in Old Palace Yard, Westminster, October the 29th, Anno Domini 1618, Anno Domini means in the year of our Lord. Reader, should you reflect on his errors, remember his many virtues, and that he was mortal. So, that's a little thing to say, judge not lest ye be judged. This is one of my favourite, well, a lot of the churches I go to are lovely, but this one is just so much history has taken place in this church. And for anyone that does visit, there are donation boxes neatly put around, because although this is next to the Abbey and stuff, it's free to get in here in this church. You don't have to pay, so they rely solely really on donations from the public, so bear that in mind. You can't go through this area. I will stand on the step, just the bottom one. The high altar, but we'll see more of that in a minute. This is organ, portable organ. Westminster Abbey was one of the first places in England to receive an organ, right back in medieval times when the first portable organs started. Before that you had the chanting of monks and nuns, and you also had hurdy-gurdies. That's why they were first invented, because they first started off in churches, hurdy-gurdies for church music. Then when organs came along, they were chucked out and became the place where went to taverns and market squares and entertainment. Hurdy-gurdies. How's that for a window, eh? Sorry, just taking a photo. Look at this, look, this pulpit. Detail and work in this is amazing, it's hand painted. The Victorians were very much into their Gothic, and they was allowed to have free reign with this one, so they let themselves go. And this is the great organ, what we're going to see in a minute. Oh, this pulpit. Do you know, I'm not meaning to sound old or naggy, I really don't, but that rope is there for a reason. That big clang was the arsehole of a woman going over the rope into the choir and dropping her phone onto the floor. I'm sorry for using the a-hole word in the church, but people like that really annoy me because they spoil things for all new, decent people that have been raised in houses rather than caves and things like that have some respect, because they trash these places, and if it gets so bad or whatnot, they close more of it off, so it means you don't get to see it in its full beauty. Years ago the ropes weren't there for a reason, because people had something called respect. A lot of people still have, but not everyone, but more people had respect, particularly in a church, and just knew unless you was given permission to go near the altar, stay away from it. Anyway, that's me moaning over with for now. Epitaph. Reliquiosum. Oh gosh, that's all in Latin. Which unfortunately I don't read. So... a lot to take in this beautiful church. It's really lovely, and this is where the politicians worship as well. Some of them, you'll see that soon. The particular thing that I was going to be talking about. Very strong tomcat's wee smell. All the banging outside, or all the barriers and everything being put up, because don't forget, in 2 months' time, this entire area will be engulfed by the coronation of King Charles. So yeah. As you can see, that was one of the ones that was badly damaged in the war. And there's a image of it over here. James Palmer. This monument was irreparably damaged by an oil bomb on the 25th of September 1940. The inscription was as follows: "Hereunder is interred ye body of James Palmer, bachelor in divinity, born in this parish of St Margaret's in July 1585, a most pious and charitable man, expressed in several places by many remarkable actions, and particularly to this parish in building fair, spelled F-A-Y-E-R, fair almshouses for 12 poor old people, with a free school and a commodious habitation for the schoolroom, a convenient chapel, a covenant chapel, for prayer and preaching where he constantly for diverse years before his death, once a week gave a comfortable sermon. He endowed ye same with a competent yearly revenue of freehold estate committed to ye trust and care of 10 considerable persons of ye place, to be renewed as any die. He carefully ended his life on ye 5th of January 1659. And the spelling back then is different, like fair. F-A-R-E, F-A-I-R, F-A-Y-R-E back then. Which is most inconvenient and uncommodious. We'll be coming to the end of part 2 in a minute for TikTokers and Instagrammers. So, join me for part 3. part 3 if you're on TikTok or Instagram. I may put it in 10-minute increments on Facebook anyway. It's easier for people to watch then. A trapdoor, which leads to a crypt, which I should dearly love to see being such a restricted and prohibited area and strictly guarded area. I don't think it would be very wise. That's the protesters, if you can hear them. The politicians bit that I was telling you about is the red door that matches the seating in the Houses of Parliament. And that is where the politicians will enter through this door for their church services and such like. The door was put there and the way would be kept clear years ago, so the politician could neither be assassinated or harassed by the public. That's the bells of the Houses of Parliament, the quarter bells. Because you've got the quarter bells. Big Ben itself is only one great big bell. And it's named after a bloke called Big Ben Johnson, I think his surname was. I could be wrong with that. But he was a boxer, bare knuckle boxer. The bell was cast up north, but it was screwed up, basically, messed up, so that it was sent down to London to be done properly at the, or recast at the Whitechapel Bell Foundry. And they recast it. And it took dozens and dozens of horses to haul it here, and then a lot of effort to get it back up, like to haul it up into the bell tower. And it was named after a Victorian era, Georgian Victorian era bare knuckle boxer called Big Ben. His surname may have been Johnson, but I could be wrong with that. I always save the altar and the most sacred or most loveliest area till last. Edward Algernon, 1862 to 1943. Edward Algernon Fitzroy. Speaker of the House of Commons, 1928 to 1943. And Muriel, his wife, 1869 to 1962. Let me jump. Yeah, so this is the Church of the House of Commons. Look at the beautiful carved choristors. I forgot to get a photo of that the last time I came here as well. Oh, I'll have to magic eraser the blue thing. It's a heater of some kind. And the fire extinguisher. I'll have to magic eraser that as well. And you've got carved into the pews. More flags up there. A lot of the flags in churches were flown at famous battles or were used as pennants at the funerals of famous people or generals or notables and stuff like that. So yeah, that's you lot told, isn't it? Yeah, I assume that that's for a crypt there. Look, because there's a trapdoor there. That would be interesting to see inside that, wouldn't it? Very interesting. But that seat lifts up. No, it doesn't. Oh, I'm not interfering anyway. End up trashing the place or getting in trouble. But yeah, that leads you down into the crypt where a lot of the people are buried anyway, and that's a proper crypt, so with bodies in and stuff. Right. Gosh, it's freezing. Very cold. Hope you've all found this one interesting, guys and girls. It's a lovely church if you're ever in the area, and it's free as well, so as I say, pop in and have a look. Take care all, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Now for a quick couple of exterior views of St Margaret's Westminster. This is the frontage of it. I'll pause you and join me around the side. And the interesting thing as an afternote I want to show you is a bit of a myth, really. There's a statue here in lead of King Charles I, which was set up in the window in 1899. And over there is Cromwell's statue, Oliver Cromwell, and he is said to have his head bowed so he can't meet the vengeful gaze of thingamajig of Charles I. So they look at each other, Charles in vengeance and Cromwell apparently bashful, but it isn't true. The rumour is that the statues were put there to stare each other out basically, but that's not true. One of them was placed there 20 odd years before the other, so yeah, it's a little bit of a myth as to the church, but yeah. That's St Margaret's Westminster, everyone. Hope you all found that interesting.